Welcome to this comprehensive guide on how to read the t-distribution table. Have you ever wondered why we use different tables in statistics? While the z-score is favors for large populations, the t-table is the hero of small samples. Originally developed by William Seeley Gossett under the pseudonym Student, while working for the Guinness Brewery in 1908, this distribution changed statistics forever. In this video, we will break down the complexity of the t-table into simple, actionable steps that you can use in your research or exams. To understand the table, we first need to understand the distribution itself. The t-distribution looks very similar to the normal or c-distribution. It is bell-shaped and symmetrical. However, the t-distribution has heavier tails. This means there is more probability in the extreme values. Why? Because when we have a small sample size, we are less certain about the population's true standard deviation. As our sample size increases, the t-distribution starts looking exactly like the standard normal distribution. This relationship is fundamental to choosing the right statistical test. The first critical concept you need is degrees of freedom, usually abbreviated as DF. Think of degrees of freedom as the number of independent pieces of information available. For most basic t-tests, the formula is simple. DF equals the sample size minus 1. For example, if you are testing a new organic fertilizer on 10 plants, your degrees of freedom would be 9. The t-table uses DF as its rows because the shape of the curve changes slightly for every single degree of freedom. Now, let's look at the structure of the table. The t-table is organized into rows and columns. The rows represent the degrees of freedom, DF, starting from 1 and usually going up to 100, then jumping to infinity. The infinity row is fascinating because it actually provides the z critical values. The columns represent the alpha level or the area in the tails. Depending on your table, the headers might show one-tail probabilities, two-tail probabilities, or confidence levels like 95% or 99%. Understanding this header is the key to not getting lost. Let's distinguish between one-tailed and two-tailed tests. Imagine you are a quality control manager at a coffee shop. If you only care if the coffee is underfilled, less than 12 ounces, you use a one-tailed test. The entire alpha, say 5%, is concentrated in one side of the curve. However, if you care if the coffee is either too empty or too full, you use a two-tailed test. In this case, that 5% alpha is split into two halves of 2.5% at each end. Most t-tables provide rows for both, so always double-check which one you are looking at. Let's walk through a real-world example. Suppose you are a scientist testing the battery life of a new smartphone. You test 15 phones and want to calculate a 95% confidence interval. Step 1. Calculate degrees of freedom. 15 minus 1 is 14. Step 2. Find your column. A 95% confidence level corresponds to a two-tail alpha of 0.05. We go down to row 14 and across to the 0.05 column. The value we find, approximately 2.145, is our critical t-value. This value tells us how many standard errors we must move away from the mean to capture 95% of the data. In our second example, let's perform a hypothesis test. A pharmaceutical company claims a new drug reduces blood pressure. We test 25 patients with a significance level of 1%, and we expect the pressure to go down, a one-tailed test. Our degrees of freedom are 24. We look for the one-tail column with alpha 0.01. Intersecting row 24 with this column gives us a critical value of 2.492. If our calculated t-statistic is higher than this, we can conclude the drug is effective. This is how scientists determine if a result is statistically significant. In summary, reading the t-table requires three things: your degrees of freedom, choosing between one or two tails, and your desired significance level. Remember that as your sample size grows beyond 30, the t-values get closer to z-values. This tool is essential for small sample research where precision is key. Mastery of this table is a rite of passage for every statistician. Thank you for watching. References: 1. Gujarati, D.N., Basic Economics. 2. Friend, J.E., Elementary Business Statistics. 3. Student, W.S. Gossett, The Probable Error of a Mean, 1908.